Hello, you're watching World Talks. My name is Sascha Fahrbach. After more than 5 years behind bars, Andrzej Poczobut is free. His release is the result of a complex, multi-country prisoner swap involving geopolitical rivals and quiet diplomacy. Hailed in Poland as a breakthrough, the deal also underscores the transactional nature of negotiations with Minsk, where hundreds of political prisoners remain. We're now joined by Franak Viačorka, chief advisor to Belarusian opposition leader Sviatlana Tsikhanouskaya, to discuss it all further. Good to have you with us. So, this is something that we've covered for a long time. Many were hoping this day would come. It's finally here. But I want to start off and ask you, why now? What exactly convinced Minsk to release Mr. Poczobut?
First of all, it's a big victory. It's a joint victory of Poland, of Belarusian democratic forces, but of course of the United States. Last year, United States opened this humanitarian track on releasing prisoners, and American President Donald Trump, he put very clearly on his social media that all prisoners must be released. Right now, Lukashenko wants badly the meeting with Donald Trump, and we see this year hundreds of political prisoners have been released. I think that was a precondition. If Lukashenko wants any communication with American administration, he must release people. And Andrzej Poczobut was always on the top of the list that Americans put in front of Lukashenko. So thanks to Poland, thanks to the United States, we have Andrzej free, but we also remember 900 other political prisoners remain behind bars.
Yeah, exactly. And you said with those other 900 prisoners, we've seen a gradual release. Is this momentum, you think, going to carry on? Will we see the full release of more prisoners now?
I hope so. John Cole, special envoy of Donald Trump, yesterday mentioned that very soon he is planning another visit to Minsk, and there are constant negotiations. We are in touch with Americans, and Sviatlana Tsikhanouskaya is in touch with the White House people as well. We hope that this year they will manage to release all or majority of political prisoners. This would be possible if the pressure continues. Pressure from the United States and from the European Union. But we also must make sure that not only current prisoners are released, but no new hostages are being taken, because in last 2 weeks, 15 new political prisoners appear. On one hand, they released Poczobut. On the other hand, they arrested only last week educators, teachers, students, and put them behind bars for years of incarceration.
Mm-hmm. And then also, tell us a bit more about this deal itself, because, it's seen as a 5-for-5 deal. Looking also at all the factors in play briefly, and also tell us about what the gain was for Belarus and Russia, especially with Mr. Alexander Putin in this.
It reminds us the traditional prisoner swap, as we saw a few years ago between Russia, Germany, and the United States, or as we saw in the Cold War era, when prisoners were exchanged for agents. And what we saw yesterday, several Russian agents got released, exchanged for Poczobut. I think it's okay, because Poczobut is much bigger and a more important figure. It's very important that he's free. But we know how much efforts Poland has put into release of Poczobut. Last year, Poland even opened the border crossing checkpoint, but the regime still held Poczobut because Poczobut is very important for Lukashenko as a personal enemy. But something forced Lukashenko. His political and economical situation maybe is not so good right now, and he's looking for some softening of sanctions, some opening with Americans. Then it's good that Poczobut is free as the result of such weakness.
Mm-hmm. And what does this do in terms of, you hinted already at the prospect that Lukashenko wants a meeting with Trump, and this is one of those conditions. What does this do for Lukashenko's standing? What does it mean for the system in the country of Belarus? Will there be any structural changes as part of this?
We don't expect change. Under Lukashenko, Belarus always will be a Russian satellite. Lukashenko will be Putin's crony and servant. He behaves like Russian governor, basically. Without Putin, he will not survive a single month. If Russia will be weak, when Russia will be weak, Lukashenko will be weak too. But what we can do, we can use this weakness of Lukashenko right now to get our people out of jails. And this is what Americans are trying to do with the help of European Union, because without sanctions that Poland and the European Union have imposed, no one would be free this year and last year. Lukashenko is not changing his policy. He will not suddenly become humane. There are no signs that repressions are going to be reduced. So let's not fall into euphoria. Let's not be naive. Let's remember it's totalitarian, Stalin-type regime, which is just using prisoners as hostages and bargaining chip.
Mm-hmm. And you said there cannot be a different kind of Belarus as long as Lukashenko remains. Let's look at the scenario if that does change. I mean, let's say that in a scenario where perhaps old age will eventually make that exit. Does the regime then, and Belarus as it stands now, does that end with him?
With the end of Lukashenko, Belarus would turn west. Belarus would turn to democracy and would turn to Europe. I'm not sure if Russia would be able to occupy completely Belarus. It's huge, it's big, it has strong national identity. There is a very small Russian ethnic minority in Belarus. Of course, it could be military scenario for Russia to take over Belarus, but we have strong society. And this society showed its power in 2020 during the protest. It showed after 22 when the war has begun and Belarusians sabotaged Russians coming from Belarus to Ukraine. We must strengthen pro-European moods in Belarus. So when moment comes, when Russia is weak, when Lukashenko is falling down, we turn Belarus to freedom and to Europe. And Belarus will be very quickly integrated into European community. That's our goal, that's my dream, that's our mission as democratic forces right now. And we hope that the European Union will be ready to embrace, to engage Belarus too.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, this is also an effort of many years and lots of diplomacy involved. I don't want to say one country responsible, but just give us a little bit more about your sense. I mean, you've dealt with this, how much Poland was involved with this through the years, how much Poland played a role here, especially in current, I think Mr. Sikorski himself was very much involved in these last years.
Poland has done everything possible to get Poczobut out of jail. Just a month ago, Sviatlana Tsikhanouskaya spoke with Prime Minister Tusk about this work on releasing Poczobut, and yesterday she met also President Nawrocki. All branches of power in Poland and government and minister and Prime Minister and President were involved. But first of all, it was done by Polish secret services who were in touch, who were working on Poczobut for 2 years at least. They were in touch with Minsk, they were negotiating, and suddenly and finally it worked out. Also thanks to American pressure, because Americans, they have direct contact to high level of Lukashenko's officials, and they convinced somehow Minsk that that Lukashenko must do this and must release Poczobut. And without Poczobut, there will not be improvement and there will not be continuation. I think that worked out. This American factor, it was this final point which forced Lukashenko to release Poczobut, to make this concession.
And also, I mean, if we're looking at, I mean, you hinted at this already, in the nature of so many political prisoners, you still said 900 are left there. I mean, is it just because they are bargaining chips for Lukashenko? Will there be new ones? I mean, why do you think, and let's just explain to our audience why he holds so many of them and has held so many of them, and has it been worth it for him?
Lukashenko is very vulnerable. He's very fragile. He realized that no one in the society likes him. He surrounded himself with a small group of officials and military people very loyal to him. But society in general, 75% are against Lukashenko. And in order to keep society in fear, he must take political prisoners because without repression, people will go out to the streets again, as we have seen in 2020. But right now, he sees that situation is difficult for him, and he tries to sell political prisoners in exchange for sanctions softening, because economy is stagnating as well. People are not happy. Even supporters of Lukashenko don't understand why you hold so many hostages. Lukashenko, they're not threat to you. Poczobut is not imminent threat to you today. Why you are killing him in prison? And all of that creates pressure, so he has to release these people. Not all. It's still process. Still, as we spoke, 900 are behind bars, but there is some progress already.
Mm-hmm. And just a brief one, I want to also ask, if we're looking back at one of the exchange, Mr. Butygin, this archaeologist, this Russian, who was wanted by Ukraine for those illegal excavations in Crimea, what does this do for relations now between, the opposition and Belarus and Ukraine?
We, as democratic forces of Belarus, we have a great relationship, with America, with the American administration, but also with the Ukrainian administration. And in the last several months, we have very good contacts with Zelensky's office, and we are planning the visit of Sviatlana Tsikhanouskaya to Kiev. So I hope it will not harm our relationship with Ukraine at all. But Ukraine has no relationship with Lukashenko as such. I think Ukraine will never forgive Lukashenko's involvement in the war and his complicity in the war against Ukraine. And together with Ukraine, we will continue to put pressure on Minsk so Belarus becomes free, democratic, not a threat, but a good neighbor for Ukraine and for European Union.
Yeah, and just as we mark that 1,860 days in prison, now released under Poczobut, as many more have been, but many more still need to be released. But thank you so much for giving us all that today. Franak Viačorka, Chief Advisor there to Belarusian opposition leader Sviatlana Tsikhanouskaya. Pleasure.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. It concludes World Talks, but stay right here on TVP World for more. Goodbye.